This video is about Youidraw, and Youidraw is a program that basically works in paths, taking the paths and merging them, overlapping them, grouping them, creating designs, and paths are an excellent way to create images such as logos or more cartoony type designs. The reason that I want you guys to work on this program is actually to get you used to a little bit to working with paths and how to manipulate paths a little bit, which is something you will also do in Photoshop and in Adobe Illustrator. So you have a few different versions here. This is Youidraw.com. You have the drawing, logo creator, and painter. And right now we're going to click on the drawing version. When it comes up, it gives you a lot of information here. First, you kind of look at it, and it took me a little while to understand exactly how to do it. Now, I had to link my account, and I was fine with that. You guys can link your student accounts to this program, but we're going to start from blank. And when you start from blank with you, I'm going to give you this little menu. I've turned this off on mine, but if you get this on your program when you first open it, okay, it's going to show you where the file menu is, toolbox, canvas workspace, the top function area, the layer tree. The layer tree is something slightly different than what we use on Photoshop. Instead of having just single layers, a lot of the items that you will place on these layers will be their own individual item or path that will overlap, group. They will join the union, subtract, intersect, do all sorts of different things, just like it says across here, that you can do with many of these paths. And this is what I really found to be very interesting about this program, is something that I wanted you guys as students to be able to get into. So I'm going to turn this back off, the tips menu, and that's how you do it with yours. You just click the little tips button up there in the corner. And what I want to do today is basically show you guys how to create a design in this program. And as you see some of the different items here, there's some similarities to Photoshop, but this was probably the most different of the programs that you have. As you notice with the buttons across the top here, they don't have the names of the list that you can click down and look into, but these are all different buttons that I want to explore, and this might even be something that we use later in the class when we get into logo design. It could help you. If you'd rather use this than Photoshop, that would be something that would be alright, as long as you understand how to do it. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few of these different tools. Now, you've got the rectangle tool, rounded tool, the ellipse, okay, and these tools are very similar to what you see Photoshop or Sumo Paint, Pixlr. They all have tools similar to this. What I'm going to do is we're going to create basically a flower today, and this is just to get you started on understanding how you can design with this program. I want you to practice with a flower. I want you to create and understand how to overlap and group these images, and then I want you to create your own design of something. I'm going to show you a couple things that this does first so that we understand this. So I'm going to click on the ellipse tool, and as I click on the ellipse tool, I'm going to open this up, and that's the ellipse that I created. Now, this ellipse that I created is one single shape, one path. If I were to click on something such as, excuse me here, the move tool, okay, and I double click on it, it gives me the option to manipulate this path. If and when I click on an area, I can drag an area, I can manipulate the area by moving the ears, as I call them, okay, I can shrink it down, I can open it up. Now, you can do a lot with these different kinds of things, and as I do all this, if I give it a double click on this point, it takes the curve out of it. If I double click again, I get the curve back, but I'm going to have a different manipulation of points there. So you can see some of the different things that you can do with this tool right there. If I take the move tool, I click on it again, and I press Control C, Control V, just like in Photoshop, I have now created a copy of that path. You'll notice that it's overlapping the path underneath, and I did this on purpose because I want to show you a few different things that you can do with this. Through these tools up here, I'm going to start with showing you how two paths have overlapped. If I click the union button, I have to select them by dragging over. If I click the union button, they create one path now. I'm going to undo that. If I click the subtract button, the one on top will subtract from the one on bottom. So as I do that, you'll notice now this is the new path. If I click the intersect button, it will only show what and where they have cross paths. If I click the exclude button, you can basically see both paths at the same time. It eliminates what's in between them. Alright, I'm going to undo that, and the divide button divides the two of them. Alright, up on this side, this is the part that we're going to work with today, is group and ungroup a little bit. Because these are two separate paths, and I don't want to join them for what we're doing, I want to create something else as we go. Well, these two I'm going to join, but as I continue on, I'm going to kind of work it out a little different. I want to group them. At this point in time, though, with these two images, I'm going to merge them in union, and then I'm going to double click on this path because I actually want to eliminate these two anchor points. So as I click on the anchor point, I'm going to delete it, and that's all I have to do. Delete, delete, and you'll see it looks like I've created a heart. Alright, I'm going to drag this down a little bit, and I'm going to create basically the petal for a leaf. Now on the written tutorial that I gave you, it's slightly different, but that's okay because I don't need it to be exactly the same, and I'm giving you different options. So you can read the written tutorial. You can also look at this one to give you some different ideas. What I want to do is I want to make this one look like one single petal, and if you look at a petal of a flower, the inner part of the petal is lighter colored and it gets darker as it gets to the outside. So as I have this selected here, I click over on this color, fill and stroke, right over on the menu over here, and I'm going to double click it. When it comes up, I'm going to click on Radial Gradient. When Radial Gradient comes up, it gives me this black and white flower. A couple things that are really neat about this gradient, if I move this, I move where that light spot comes into it, which gives it a neat effect with that leaf. As I click on the color here, I can choose different colors to add in, such as blue, I have to actually choose it there, as blue. I can also add a color right in the middle if I just click right here. And what I want to do with that, I'm going to click, I'm going to kind of give it a purplish tint right there. So now this leaf has this purplish tint. I can adjust this out. I'm going to take it out there quite a bit farther. Actually, I'm also going to take this out so it looks like it blends more. And I'm going to click OK. And now I have this bluish petal, one single petal. I'm going to take this one single petal, I'm going to duplicate it a few times, and I'm going to create more. So as I again have this selected, I'm going to press Control-C, Control-V, and I selected it by clicking on the Move tool. I'm going to move it out just a little bit, and this little part here allows me to turn the tool. So I'm going to turn it, move it down. I'm going to turn it a little bit more, move it down, and I'm going to get it right about where I would want it. Now, one great thing about a flower, none of these are perfect. So you don't have to be perfect with every petal. You just need to overlap them and create something very interesting. So I'm going to again copy, paste a new one, and I'm going to start by giving it a turn, moving it down about where I want it. I'm going to again copy and paste. Now I'm doing it single leaf by single leaf, but you don't have to. I could have already grouped all of these if I'd wanted and just copied one big section. So if I do it like this, if I group that and now press Control-C, Control-V, I now have an entire other group that works together that I could turn at this point in time and overlap and make it look like there's just all these petals going around in this one flower. So I've now created, very quick and simply, all these petals going around this one flower. And again, I would like to select them all, and I'm going to group all of them. Move them more into the center here. And I have, right there, all the different petals that I've made. Now you'll notice up here in the Layers menu, all of these paths All of these paths are in these two different groups that were originally made. Group 1 was the 4 petals that came around the outside. Group 2 was the copy of that, those 4 petals that are on top of it. And then when I put them together, that created group 3. This can get confusing if you create too many groups. So you've got to understand what you're doing with everything that you create. All right. Now, I want to take one of these petals, and if I double click a couple times, bring it in, so I selected the big group first, double click in to the next group, double click in again to the next group, I have that one single petal that I want created. And I'm going to do a little bit of an adjustment, this one petal. I'm going to copy this, which you can see I just made one copy of that one petal. It's off by itself. And I'm going to adjust it and take it in and make it smaller now. So we have some smaller petals that we're going to create in here. I want to do a little adjustment though, so these petals aren't all exactly the same. So possibly making this one single petal just a little bit different. Alright, just like that. And when I get it how I want it, I'm going to again press Control C, Control V. Work this one petal out a little bit. Control C, Control V. Again, making this leaf. Control C, Control V is what made that. And this is the issue that I've had a few times, is I do this every once in a while. You've got to be very careful what you click. If I click off that edge at all, I click the entire group of the under layer, which I did again there. Give me just a second. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to do possibly one or two more here. Okay. One more. Just like that. And I now want to take these, kind of move that down off to the side there like that. I'm going to group this. Click this one back on here, and I'm going to move it back over and under. And I want to show you one of the things that you can do here. So this is a group and this is a group. If I click on this small group and I click backwards, it's going to put it behind this image. So if I move this image, you'll see it's back there. So that's one of the things that you have to be careful, is understand where you have your image that you wanted. I want it forward, I want it above it. Put it back right in the middle there, just like I want it there. And there we have this interesting flower. I don't even know what kind it would be, but it's a flower that you could kind of mess with a little bit. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to kind of create a middle. I don't even know what that's called in a flower, honestly. I won't lie. I'm going to do this. I'll show you what I'm going to do here. Click the ellipse tool again. I'm going to make a new ellipse. If I want it to be perfectly circled, which I do, I'm going to press and hold the shift button, and you'll see this is the same as Photoshop. As I drag it, it will only create a perfect circle. So I'm going to do that right in the middle there. Again, I'm going to change the color. This time I'm going to go with yellows. Okay. Radial gradient. Oh, I should have done that first. Yellows. Okay. And I'm going to give it this nice yellow middle. Click OK. And now what I'm going to actually do is duplicate this one. Control C, Control V. And I'm going to change the size of this one. So by shrinking this, I'm going to take it way down, like this. And I've got this tiny little circle there. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to move a couple more around here, and then I'm going to use the group of them to fill this in. But I wanted a big yellow circle in there first to fill in the area, kind of like when I teach painting in the painting class. Put the background in, then we add from the background. So I'm going to copy and paste that one. I'm going to move it out just a little bit there. copy and paste that one, move it out and around. Okay, again, move it with the keyboard. Get just a couple of them here, and I do want some of them overlapping, it's fine. And one more about right there. Alright, and what I'm going to do here is group this layer. And I want to group this layer. First of all, I'm going to need to move a few of them off to the side here because I don't want them included in this group, including this one. Alright, I'm going to just move them a little bit so they're more separate. Right there. And let's see what that looks like. Right there. Now I'm going to select these. I'm going to group them. I'm going to copy them. I'm going to paste them. Alright. And I'm going to start moving them on this image. I'm going to possibly turn them a little bit. And if these overlap, it's fine. I'm going to put them down. Okay. So some of them are overlap there. That's fine. I'm going to start to fill this area. Move it a little bit more in here. Possibly change it up just a little bit. And I'm going to do this a few times until I get it how I want it. If they are overlapping, there is no problem with that, because you never see perfectly spaced out flower petals anyway. Okay, so it's got all these different edges, designs on there, and I'm going to put those last couple in there, just like that. Actually, surprisingly, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to move just this one document out of the way here. I'm going to duplicate this one big mass, and I'm going to group it, duplicate it, turn this one mass, duplicate it again, turn this one mass to fill more of the holes. Okay, and I'm actually going to eliminate that one by deleting it. I'm going to take this group of them. I just wanted to have a good area there to look at, and I'm going to group that area together. I'm going to put this flower back up in the middle, put this section of the flower back where it belongs, take this group and move it right into the middle there where it belongs, and I have this group of what would look like the center of a flower there with all the different petals. Last couple things I'm going to do here to finish this project off. I'm going to create a line using the arc tool, and I'll start by putting this here and arcing it right up to the center there, as if that's the petal coming up, or excuse me, the stem coming up. I'm going to change the color of it to green, give it a dark green. I'm going to give it a radial gradient actually instead of just a dark green. We're going to go green here. Okay, and I know you don't see anything on it yet. I'm going to go a darker green with it. Okay, click OK. With that, I'm going to change the stroke. I'm going to take it way up, and you'll notice the larger the stroke, the larger the stem. So I expand it, and I'm going to take it up at least to 8. I'm going to go up to 10 on this. Okay, and then these buttons show you what the end of the petal or the stem looks like. So see how it's squared right now? This will curve it. You'll notice that curve in there right now. So I changed the curve, and I don't know if I didn't save the real grain of a stroke. I didn't have a dark enough version of it. There we go. So now I've got the difference in darkness, and you can see I can move around where the light's coming from on that too. And then with this, again, I can adjust what this looks like. Take this off the edge and make it look like it's kind of this bent stem coming up in the middle. But you'll notice it's on top, so I'm going to move it underneath. Click backwards, backwards, and backwards till it's underneath. The last two things I'm going to do here before I save it, I'm going to show you how to save this, are add in now a stem, or excuse me, leaves on the stem. I'm going to take one single creation here. I switch the color so it keeps the same color as the leaves. I've got the exact same colors. Click on it. This is the ellipse tool. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to stretch and twist and turn to get it to be a droopy leaf. So there's my droopy leaf. Alright. Maybe expand upon a little bit, moving these points, keeping it how I want. Once I've got it how I want, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to move this version up here. I'm going to do a little bit of movement here, so that way it actually looks like it's coming off around a similar area here, right around there. Double click on it, move some of these pieces, the anchor points, just how I want them, and I'm going to move them backwards. Because I want it underneath the stem. Alright, let me click on this and move it up. I don't want to go down too far. Okay, as I move them around just a little bit, I want to have them just how I want it, and that's basically what I want to keep this project as. Now, the issue that I've found with this program is if you try to save, alright, save as, it'll give you the option here, choose a drive, and I'll show you the problem that you're going to have, so you need to pay close attention here. Flower, choose drive, alright, I can save it to Google Drive if I would like, flower in there, and for example, as soon as I go to click on it, it won't allow me. If I click local disk and download, it will download. Unfortunately, it's not something that I can open back up right away. That's easy to maneuver and work on. As I minimize this down, there you'll notice I just tried to open it up. This is in Photoshop and I couldn't open it in there. There was nothing I've been able to do to see it. So this is how I have saved it. And this is what I want you to do as students. Since when you finish it on this, on the computer, I want you to press Control Print Screen. Now make sure that if you press Control Print Screen, you don't have your cursor on top of here, because literally you're copying what you see on your screen. So I'm going to press Control Print Screen. My mouse is not on top there. I'm going to go to Photoshop. On Photoshop, I'm going to click File, New. It'll ask me Preset Clipboard, and it literally is going to copy the screen. Now I have to paste it in there with Control V. You'll see it in there. So there's my image. I'm going to crop my image only to what I want. Press Enter, and now I'm going to save it through Photoshop. File, save as a JPEG, and I'm saving this one in my capstone as flower, something that can be turned in flower 2, since I already have the original version, something that can be turned in on Google Classroom. So that's the assignment. That's what I want you guys to try to do. Hopefully everybody can attempt to do this project and have success with it. Good luck, and let's see what you can do.